Hey everyone, Taylor here from WordforWorship.com, where we are opening the Word and embracing Jesus. Yay. Hey, want to look at Colossians chapter 1, verse 13 today. Just to give a little context behind that verse, Paul in chapter 1, verse 9 through 14 is giving a prayer to the Colossian church. And if you have a moment, I encourage you, read that. It is, awesome. But at the ending of his prayer, he ties it all in with this statement, verse 13. For he rescued us from the domain of darkness and transferred us to the kingdom of his beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. So, what he's topping off right there is in verse 11. He is asking that we would be strengthened with all power according to his Spirit, Jesus, who he has given us, that we would give thanks to the Father. And he says this statement, who has qualified us to share in the inheritance of the saints in light. So there's that, verse 13, and he's saying, this is the reasoning. This is how all this happened, all of this blessing, all of this inheritance getting is from verse 13. He says, for he rescued us from the domain of darkness. When you look at the Greek, everything comes alive. It's beautiful. He says, he rescued us. The Greek word for rescue has a connotation of someone reaching in, grabbing a hold of another person, and then this is important, and pulling them out of wherever they are. So the focus of rescue is in the act of grabbing a hold of and pulling out of. And so we look at it and we say, what did he pull us from? The domain of darkness. Again, look at the Greek there. Domain comes with the idea of not only the place, like you're in this domain, but when you're in this domain, you are subject to the rules, the lifestyle, and the regulations of that domain. And so really put this together and everything gets amazing. He says, for God reached in and pulled us out of, rescued us from the domain of darkness. And that deliverance comes with the idea that not only being removed from the circumstance and the arena of that domain, but also the effects, as well as the influence of that domain. So Paul is saying, God, through Jesus, reached into our darkness, grabbed a hold of us, and pulled us out of the domain of darkness and all of its effects, its regulations, its hold on us to make us live certain ways. All of that has been done away with. And then he tops it off by saying, and not only did he rescue us and pull us from the domain of darkness, he then transferred us into the kingdom, a new domain of his beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. And so you look at this and you have these two things going on. Well, I guess one really. You're getting pulled out of darkness and the domain of it and all of its effects, all of its influence. And now God has transferred us into the kingdom of Christ. And now we are free to live within this kingdom, to obey the rules, to be caught up in, to be influenced by the new kingdom, the kingdom of his beloved Son, Jesus. That's where you are. You who believe in Christ, you are no longer a part of the domain of darkness. So you do not have to obey the sinful flesh and its calling upon your life. That's not your domain. You've been transferred. You are obligated, and if Christ is in you, you want to obey the flow and the rhythm of the kingdom of Christ. You see, you're not obligated to sin anymore. You're free to obey Christ. You're free to love him. You're free to treasure him. You've been transferred. It's not your home. He's your home. Would you abide in him today? That's good news. Yay. Hope you have a good Jesus-filled day. I love you. We'll catch you next time at WordforWorship.com.